What's up, peoples? What's up? What's up? It's a blessed day today, and let's get into it. Let's get into it. Last time I read it was from Psalms 35. I read 4 to 5, right? Today we're gonna read verse 10, and we're just gonna go with that. All my bones shall say, Lord, who is like unto you, that deliver the poor from him that is too strong for him. Yes, the poor and needy from him that spoileth him. False witnesses did rise up. They laid to my charge things that I did not know. They rewarded me evil for good, to the spoiling of my soul. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled myself with fasting, and my prayer returned into my own bosom. You know, there's a there's a saying out there that this is something that everybody goes through, where people familiar to them, they judge them, and they say negative things about them. And that just happened to me this morning. It was an incident that happened, and people close to you, or people you think are close to you at least, do that to you. And you know something, man, in the long scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. Because again, when you think about it, really actions speak louder than words. So having a conversation with somebody is one thing, but in the end, you really have to look at how the people behave, how they act. And if their actions match up to them, doing what they do, and it turns out to be something good, that's really what counts, I think. So that's what I got to say. I was talking to several people, and I even have friends online who the people around them, the people they know, the people who they expect to trust in and stuff, those people, man, they be saying all kinds of crazy shit about them and circulating stuff about them. And it happens, man. It happens in life, where that's just a part of life. The people who you sometimes look to get support or whatever, they disappoint you in so many different ways. And that's just a part of life and people. I quite frankly tried to avoid those situations, but apparently today, just like that, out of the blue, one came out at me, and I was like, really? I was like, really? But it is what it is. I wasn't angry or anything, but I was watching that and like, man, I need to be more guarded or something. I was thinking to myself, I said, no, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be me, and I'm not gonna be guarded no more. I thought about it a couple of minutes, because I've been doing these videos also online, and you know what? To hell with being guarded. Let me tell you something. If I gotta go down, I might as well go down. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be true to myself, and I'm going to represent these good values as much as I can and be as transparent as much as I can. And so that's what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? There are people who they think you should be this way, or they think you should be, you know what, man? If they think so, then they should do it with their own lives. And if they're doing it already with their own lives, we're good, because that's the only one they got control of. You know what I'm saying? We gotta allow people to be themselves, the best of them they can be, and that's all I got to say about that. So, yeah, this scripture, man, it's talking about a guy who's trying to do everything well, and he's asking the Lord to deliver the poor from them who are too strong for them. It's strange that in this life, man, we tend to have this tendency to want to put people down. Now, when people are wrong about something, okay, but it's when you have suspicions that they're wrong, or you assume that they're wrong about something, or you assume that you can help them in the right path, that I find that sad. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, they see somebody in a certain position, and they really assume a lot of things about them. And it's one of those things where, when you get the reality check that this person is not even what you think they are, when you get that reality check, you see somebody and they have a certain lifestyle. And so because of that, you assume something about them. And then you learn that this person is nothing like that. And in fact, they're better than even you in terms of your attitude to life and stuff. And that's why I try to put things up online. And I talk about us working together, obviously. But I'll try to put things up online where, we could be constructive and helpful to one another. Because in the end of things, I think some people try to be helpful, but they're not. Some people try to, say, I'm trying to help you out, or I'm trying to do this for you, and they're not being a help at all. They're being a hindrance, and they don't even understand that. There's a lot of people out here who they really feel they have your best interest at heart, and the only thing they're really doing is sincerely assassinating you. They don't even know that. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where I look at these things and I say to myself, man, I have to be so careful about that when you're dealing with people. I was telling you guys yesterday about how Lewis was very careful with how she handled Clark, and Superman was very careful how he handled Lewis. And I think a lot of times, we're not very careful about what we do. We think we're doing something with the best interest at heart, and really we're just messing up a situation. It's making it worse, and I've been on the receiving end of that, and I've also been dishing that shit out. And so I'm just saying this to say to people that two things. Yeah, it's good to help, but sometimes you have to figure out if you're being helpful, one, and two, if the person even needs that help. You know what I'm saying? It's like a person is dying, they're bleeding all over the place. But you come and you say, I'm going to help, and you bring them a knife. What the hell is a knife going to do when somebody's bleeding? You know what I'm saying? And you're saying, well, now I'm going to take care of your wound, and you stab them some more. You know what I'm saying? They don't make no hell. You ain't helping them. You're helping them to die. You know what I'm saying? Thanos, he said he was going to help the world, but population control and shit like that. I wasn't helping. You know what I'm saying? So not all help is help. And I think how people can best help a situation or people's or a community is to first find out what the needs of that community is, and stop assuming that you're in a better position than that community. Because sometimes, like I said to you guys about the communities in Africa, sometimes you go in a community, oh, they're so poor, they so this, they so that, and the community better off than y'all. And when you come and bring in your technology and stuff, that people get sick, they get drunk. You're in charge now. You actually take over everything because you're the one that know all the tech and everything. But the people are actually worse off for it. They're oppressed. Okay. And we've seen that with the Crusades. We've seen that with the advent of so-called worldwide global Christianity. We've seen that with the Muslims taking over the eastern and parts of Africa. Jihad, I think they called it. We've seen that crap more than once. Now we see people now trying to push the atheistic vibe, mock people who are Christian and stuff. And that is not called for. What I'm trying to tell people is what we have to do is be sensitive to what people we're talking to and what environment we're approaching. And if we say we're really going to help people, then, Donald Trump thinks he's helping the United States of America by, putting strict laws on immigration, right? Immigration reform. But in fact, he's separating families, and he's doing some really atrocious things. He's not helping anybody. And the point behind it is, just because you say you're willing to help doesn't mean you're going to help. It doesn't mean you're actually going to help the situation. And that's where, we talk about the guidance of God and stuff, because a lot of people say they're coming to help. A lot of people say that, and then their actions are the opposite. So anyways, that's what I got to say. Of course, we're not perfect people, and so sometimes we shut down conversations instead of building back up, and that's okay too. That's all well and good. That's part of the process. In the long scheme of things, it ain't gonna matter much anyway. But I just wanted to share that with you guys before I go in, because this morning something happened, an event happened, and the day was cool and everything, and made me say, man, I might have to guard my shoulder, man, because sometimes people say they come to help you, but actually at the end of the day, they're really just trying to stir something up, to cause problems for you later down the road. And so I just watched that, and this person grabbing their intel on you, sort of like, and so it made me a little bit uncomfortable. I'll be honest with you. That's why I'm talking to everybody on the internet, so that the whole wide world will know about that. You don't have to know the specifics of the conversation, but at least know the conversation, because it makes me wary. So of those people, I remember in the United States of America, people saying, oh, we just want to help you. We care about you. And they were actually setting about to sabotage a certain person, a certain individual that I knew. She was black. Okay. And I remember that very well. And they would say, oh, I care, but they didn't care at all. They actually were trying to destroy that individual. So it just made me kind of get a little bit wary, on guard. And then I said to myself, screw that. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to be myself. And you know what? Where the chips fall, they fall. And you know what? Sometimes you got to do that because, you know, the devil comes to try to intimidate you from the task of what you're doing. A lot of positive things are happening on the ground. And the devil said, you know what? I can't get him with online porn anymore. I can't get him with, you know, conflicting with his family. I can't get him with, you know, people trying to dog him to try and kill his ass on the road. So I'm going to try and get him this way. You know what I'm saying? Excuse the curse words though. But I'm just saying that you have to be so wary. You have to be so on guard with some people, because it's like people are like vipers, man. They be posing as if they, you know, coming with some kind of good intention. And next thing you know, they're building a data file on you. I'm just saying it happens anyway. So it's not a big deal. But I just thought about it and I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Like, you know, I'm not going to talk about the conversation. I already talked with a neighbor, but I just find it weird, man. I find this shit weird that it happened to me this morning. Excuse the cursing and stuff, man. I don't usually curse, but it's just so strange. It was like a strange conversation about something that I already, you know, like I'm literally knocking everything down in it right now. We're doing better and better than we ever have done before. And then boom, this comes out of the blue. But you know, that's how it goes. Energies and karma and stuff. It's always been kind of difficult for me to move forward and do things. There's always been some, especially in this country, man. Shoot, this country's a fight down for everything. And you will be surprised just how hard you have to fight for something sometimes. It's just so weird. So weird, man. It's some weird stuff in this country. Hey, by the way, just very recently, man, an earthquake came through. Hey, what we got up online? Let me just check you guys in the chat section, see what you guys doing. All right, ain't nobody in the chat section. All right, I'm going out in a minute. It might rain. Okay, there's nobody in the chat section. That's cool. That's cool. All right, so I'm just talking here, folks. You guys can always check out the video later. So we're going to talk about the realism in the DCEU. But I just wanted to go back to the scripture here because I don't know, man. Like sometimes, man, you know, people can be crooked and so deceptive and stuff out here. But yeah. Yeah, what this basically was saying, that this dude, man, he was saying, man, you need to deliver the poor from the guys who are stronger. Unfortunately, people who are stronger than you tend to want to bully you. And we see this where people use their strength, their power, their weight to oppress other people instead of liberate them. And, you know, it's all about liberation at the end of the day. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about liberation at the end of the day for as many people as possible. You know, I don't ever like saying that I'm not perfect, but it is what it is. We're not perfect in our walk and stuff. But it is what it is, man. And yeah, so you see that sometimes the people who actually have the ability to bless a lot of people, they tend to use their ability to oppress other people so they can extract more stuff from them. Excuse me for a minute. The door is slamming in another room. And it's not cool at all, but it is what it is. Anyways, on top of that, man, I want to just talk to you guys about just about, you know, the fact that the more clout you guys get in life, man, the more power you get. Use it again to liberate people as much as possible. Of course, you have to be sensitive to what it is these people need, listening to the conversations of people. Don't try to assume anything, because that's the point at which things go down south. And try to assist people in their movement forward, you know, in ventures and whatever else, you know, because for me, personally speaking, if you don't know where a man's coming from, you sure as hell can't help it. You know what I mean? That's how I think about it. So we try, you know, this is my advice to people out there, that you say you're going to help, but sometimes you're not helping at all. You're not helping. You're just hindering people. You're hurting people more than helping. So I always suggest to people, take all your misconceptions about people, your stereotypes of people, and throw that out the window and start from fresh with people. That's the only way. Because when you start to assume, that can lead to almost a self-fulfilling prophecy and just reinforce your assumptions. And a lot of times partisanship in the world today is because people have been assuming a lot of things about other people, and they're really looking for validation of their assumptions. They're not really looking to really see or hear what other people have to say. My platform is one in which, even though I'm a Christian and all of that, I try to appeal to everybody in a universal way. And yes, I have my own dogma and assumptions, which sometimes I need to let go of to listen to other people talk and where they're coming from. And I have been very dogmatic. I'm been guilty of this as well. But at the end of the day, that's the only way we're going to actually succeed in this life, is by putting away the dogma and the assumptions of other people, to really see and hear their perspective on things, because I think a lot of times people just go into it and they walk off of their assumptions. I remember I was talking to a good friend of mine. I was talking about, you have to, when you're praying, the thoughts that you have in your head. And he was like, dude, first of all, there ain't no such thing as, you can't be thinking too much when you're praying. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was trying to stay on my line of dogma. And now when I think about it, I think I understand what he's saying, that, yeah, you make a request, but it's not about being too verbose. You want to listen as well. And he was right in his own way. You know what I'm saying? Listening is a hard thing for all of us. But anyway, I talk plenty on here. So that's what the scripture is about. Psalms 35. It's always about empowerment as far as I'm concerned. We have to empower each and every individual. We have to empower ourselves. Sometimes we do a bad job of pulling people together. Sometimes we have to do a bad job of hearing people out. But at the end of the day, we have to stick with each other and just try and make the most of the situation. So let me move into what we're going to talk about, which is Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and the realism of the DCEU. And if you look right here in Man of Steel, when we saw the ship come to Earth, and then we jumped to this this ship, the Debbie suit. All right. And that's where we were introduced to Clark on the Debbie suit as they were getting up. It seems as though they were getting crab cages out of the ground, lobster cages out of the ground. And a lobster cage fell down from one of these things that pull the cages out. And the sailor guy, which I think is this guy right here, I think that's Clark right there. The sailor guy, he pushed Clark out of the way. All right, the falling cage. Now, what's interesting is that this ship here is called the Debbie suit, right? 00966, as you can see right there. And the Debbie suit, this is what I'm talking about with realism. It's an actual fishing ship. Okay, it's a real fishing ship, which was used in Man of Steel. It's a fishing vessel, which is still in use. It's still fishing all over the place. Okay, it was built in 1972 by Martin Olick Tacoma, which is located in Tacoma, Seattle, Washington State. And its gross tonnage is 198 tons. All right, if it says see below, and I'll show you that it's the exact same ship you're seeing right now in the dock. It's docked at Pacific Fisherman Shipyard, Ballard, Seattle, Washington State. Okay, you see the name Debbie Sue right there. And if you look here, you see 00966. And guess what? The Debbie Sue is 00966. And this is the Debbie Sue, baby. That's right. So this is the identical ship that is still shipping in the sea right now. It's an identical ship that they use. And that's the kind of realism we're talking about in the DCEU. Now, the realism goes on in that, if you go to Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, the white Portuguese that you saw in that movie, the ship that actually moved the kryptonite, which is this ship right here, that white Portuguese. Now, it's not called the white Portuguese in real life, and it's not active right now. So the realism kind of fades off a little bit in Batman v Superman. It was docked at the Gotham City port, which is a mythical port, of course. Anyway, and that ship that was used to smuggle kryptonite into the United States is actually a retired U.S. Coast Guard vessel known as the U.S. GCG Bramble. And here it is down below here. And it's currently docked in Port Huron in Michigan. So it's at Port Huron in Michigan. And it's actually like an online museum. It's a retired vessel which was commissioned in 1944 and retired in, I think it's 19 of 2012, I think it decommissioned. They decommissioned it, and it sits down in Port Huron, which is right here. And it's actually they have tours of it, so people, it's like a museum. They go up and they tour the ship, and it's a tourist attraction at Port Huron. Okay, and so this is it. It's the U.S. CGC Bramble. That's what it is. The Coast Guard Bramble. All right. So this is a little bit less realistic in that this is not an active vessel. It's a retired vessel that they use in the movie. And most movies, they use retired vessels or retired stuff. So this is kind of more typical Hollywood here. But look at the realism here. They actually used a real fishing ship with real fishing crew on it. And by the way, the real crew of the U.S. CGC Bramble was actually used in this movie as well. So the actual crew of the U.S. CGC Bramble, the actual crew of the Bramble was actually used as well, which is pretty cool in the movie. Of course, they had a different status, but you know, they moved off the the ship and the stuff from off the ship and stuff, and used a crane and all that stuff. And I thought that was really cool. Now, you contrast that with Justice League, which is very interesting. Justice League is a little bit different to these two movies. So whereas they used actual vessels in these two movies, all right, in Justice League, they actually used a prop. So the Cortland, as far as I do know, is a purely fictitious ship that we're watching on a fictitious sea. Okay, this is all, fiction. This is a prop here, but the sea and everything is, I think, CG. That's CG that was put in there. This is a purely fictitious ship. As far as I know, it's not an actual vessel. So Justice League kind of veers away from that realism. So you got, slowly the realism started to disappear. We had an actual vessel that's actually active, that was actually used in Man of Steel, right? Which is this here. Okay, and it's called by its actual name. Whereas in Batman v Superman, this is a fictitious vessel, which is an actual vessel that's retired, no longer working, which was used in Batman v Superman. And then we have a completely fictitious vessel in Justice League. And so the realism sort of moved into fantasy, even though still grounded in realistic grounding as we progress through the trilogy. Now, what is interesting to me is that's just one aspect. I just mentioned one aspect of hyperrealism, as we call it, that we saw in all three movies. But if I were to mention some other things that happened in all three movies, we also had places like IHOP. We had, gas stations. We had Walmart. We had all of these franchise names inside of these movies, which again come from our world. Like they said, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman really brings the world. It brings the characters to our world. So they were trying to make us feel like that's our world, and you literally feel like it's our world. Even in Justice League with Old Bailey, where they went into Old Bailey, which is Old Bailey from our world. We see London from our world. It's a little bit virtually different, but it's London from our world. We're seeing our world. And so it's like if we're watching something from our world and these fictitious characters exist in it. And that's the hyperrealism. Hyperrealism is the illusion that everything you're seeing is real. And that's the thing about the DCEU I loved. I don't know if they'll keep it up. I don't know if Warner Bros. Is going to continue that direction. I hope they do. It seems as though they're trying to kind of skew it back to what Marvel is doing, which is stupid as far as I'm concerned. Because now you got another generic model of Marvel, a ripoff of Marvel, if you want to call it that. So I hope WB does not do that. I hope they stay true to what Zack Snyder's intention with the DCEU was. To have our world with these imaginary mythical characters, I think is better than having a mythical world on the screen, which we've seen so many of them. That's a common approach. But to have it grounded in reality, I think is and have it like if these characters exist in our world and continue to have the extension of that. They did it with Suicide Squad. They did it with Batman v Superman. They did it with Justice League. Not Justice League. They did it with Man of Steel. They did not do it with Justice League, by the way, where they actually had Google Maps Google Maps still has it. Gotham and Batman's cave and Lex Luthor's place, alluding to Brainiac and all of that stuff. I liked that stuff outside of the movie that you can actually go to. And it's like, if it's the real places in the real world, I like that stuff that they were approaching with. I don't know if they will do it and continue doing it, but I think it's a great idea, and I think they should develop on that idea. So before I go to work, I just wanted to share this stuff with you guys. I don't know what you guys are saying. Let me check the chat section again. Dave, Ethan, morning, bro. It's good to see you, man. Good to see you. I got 2 people watching. I don't know who's the other person watching, but shout out to Dave, Ethan. And, you know, I like to share these videos because I feel like there's a lot more stuff I want to show you guys in terms of hyperrealism, in terms, you know, I did one which really, you know, lit up Twitter, and a lot of people like it on Twitter, which was the media, you know, seeing the real people from the media and the media being a part of that world. But I want to show you guys just how much real world stuff is in these movies. And that's the cool thing about it. Like, you know, in Man of Steel, they went to a real town. Smallville is based on a real town. You know, they had real ships. They had real, you know, all of the businesses. They had businesses from the real world in there. You know, Metropolis was built off of some place in Detroit, I think it was, or something like that. And the more I look at, you know, the reality and the realism that are in these movies, Justice League was not as realistic as I would say the other 2 DCEU movies. This is why we need release the Snyder Cut. I hope you guys buy into that, and we talk more about release the Snyder Cut. I just heard something. Somebody came here or something. Because, you know, this is the thing we want. We want realism in our movies. I think the demographic that supports the DCU, the core of the DCU backbone, are people who, you know, some of them like MCU, but most of them don't, because of the lack of realism in the MCU. Somebody came online as well and put out this, they put out this video replying to the guy who was talking about how the DCEU's action scenes, why they're not good. Another guy responded with why they were good, and using the same points the other guy did, he had a rebuttal to him, and I thought it was pretty good. And he said it's pretty much the same thing I think we all agree on, which is that I hope Warner Brothers keeps to the tone and the kind of approach that they were having, that Zack Snyder had laid down in Man of Steel and is moving onwards. I just hope they do that and keep the movies grounded in realism. And the same thing I feel. I see James Wan kind of following after what Zack does, kind of teasing the same way Zack kind of teases things. David Sandberg looks like he's really into it as well with Shazam, and I'm just hoping Shazam works out very well. That should be the funniest of them all. So I'm just looking forward to what the DCU has in store. There's a lot of rumors circulating about the DCU, again, unconfirmed reports. I don't really pay attention to those things. I look for the hardcore, solid information on the DCEU and the direction it's going. But in the meantime, I hope you guys push for release the Snyder Cut. This is the thing I want to say about that, though. I want to say, if we, the fans, have to raise money for the Snyder Cut, let's raise that money. Somebody start the initiative. It's a GoFundMe, whatever, and let's just start raising money for the Snyder Cut. And then if Zack Snyder needs that money, we can give it to him to do it, because we need that Snyder Cut. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, it's not going to happen. I heard another guy who does not like Zack Snyder at all. He was saying how, you know, WB, if that comes out, it will affect WB and it will be bad. I even heard Jay Oliver say the same thing. And I just totally disagree. I think that it will not hurt WB one step. It will only help WB. And no matter if people see things in the Snyder Cut and they say, oh, wow, I wish WB would have done this, I don't really care. Because personally speaking, it's better they put that thing out, let people see what it was, see what Zack Snyder had in store for them. And then whatever direction WB wants to go from there on in, it's cool. But just let the director's full vision come out. And so I'm 100% behind what Zack Snyder's vision was for that. And if they're going in a different direction to that, cool. It schedules the score. Fine. WB's going in a different direction. We're still with you, WB. But the one thing we want to say is you did well. You took the risk and you put out the Snyder Cut, which is what we want. Okay, because it was that director that was doing the movie. And you didn't do everything according to that director and what he was doing. You cut out a lot of his stuff. And so that's all I got to say about that. I want to see what Zack Snyder was doing so they could also complete the trilogy. I don't want an incomplete trilogy. And some people were saying, you know, the trilogy is not complete. And in a way, it's not complete. It is complete in a way. But in another way, it's not fully complete, because Zack's vision started off with Man of Steel, continued with Batman v Superman. I'm supposed to finish off with Justice League. And we know there are parts of this movie that are not there. And I don't feel like the actual cut I saw is not smooth or cohesive, or there's big gaps in it. I don't feel that, but I know that there's more material out there, and I know there would have been more elaboration. I definitely want to see that. More is always better for me. So that's what I got to say about that. I'll get some more examples of realism. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat section before I go. Shadow Dragon says, "What's up, Shadow Dragon 1939? Shout out to you, brother." Dave Ethan, morning, guys. It's nice to see you guys here. It's nice to see you guys in this video. Shout out to all of you guys out there. I want to say to you guys that it's a blessing to have seen all you guys and to be able to work with you guys, and just to share this information with you guys. You know, it's always a blessing to be able to do that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm about to get out of here and go and do some work. I have to go drink some water and stuff and then get out and on the road. It's gonna be a slow day in the road because it's a Sunday, but I'm gonna get out there and do what I do because I haven't done anything for a couple of days. Well, I've just been here doing videos and stuff like that. And I want to get some other things done, but it'll take a little while to get things done. So I hope you guys have a blessed day, a great day. I got to get out of here. If you guys have anything else to say in the chat section, say it now or forever hold your peace. Talk to me. You guys got anything to say? If you guys got nothing else to say, I'm splitting, man. I'm out of here. You can see all the clothes in the background. I just went and dumped all this clothes on my bed. I'm in my room chilling out. So I hope you guys have a good one, man. You know me. I'll be just chilling. I gotta go do some work out there. So you guys got anything extra to say out here? You guys got anything else? Nothing? All right, man. Well, you guys have a blessed one. I got a lot more stuff coming up, but in time. All right. Have a good one.